Jeffrey had a pretty decent life. He studied in a STEM field, he got his degree, and he got a job in programming. He was making pretty good money. He's 35 years old, he met the love of his life. Within 2 years, he eventually lost everything: his wife, his kids, and his house, and his job. He has nothing. You are bound to lose everything at least a few times in life. Money, possessions, relationships, every single thing you have, you are bound to get zeroed out. Do not let your ego think, oh, he's not talking about me. Shut up, little bitch ass ego. You are bound to lose everything. You must have this mindset that it's gonna happen, because you must prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Getting zeroed out, losing everything you have, let's say your job, the money, the business progress, your relationships, it's a lot more common than you think, especially to middle-aged men, especially to like guys who, you know, are kind of red pill, but they're really still blue pill, and then eventually they find the unicorn, and you know how it happens. It's a lot more common than you think. If you don't prepare for it, you will suffer. And so this is our preparation for this event. So let's imagine the scenario. You've lost everything, you've got literally the clothes on your back, and a friend says that you can sleep at their place for a little bit. What do you do to bring yourself back to a point of happiness, abundance, and stability? Now, most people, pretty much every single person apart from me online, has made this guide of, okay, what you do, you go and get 2 jobs, you get the shittest jobs possible, and you start raking up the money, you get the money. Shut up, bro. You would probably kill yourself if you did that. Imagine losing everything, and then imagine having to work more than full-time hours in jobs that like literally, like, what stupid advice based on this capitalistic, oh, I need money, you get the shittest job possible because it's the fastest. No, dumbass. You've lost everything, so how do you prepare? If you're going to be losing everything, forget about this job, you're going to be losing everything in a few years' time, in 10 years' time. There's something you can do today to start preparing for that. And this will be the most important things that you have when you lose everything. And that is mental health and social skills. Now, all the dumbasses might click away because they were expecting like a really quick, the fastest way to make money online type of method. No. Think about it on a deeper level. If you've lost everything, but you've got good mental health, it doesn't even matter. If you're happy and you're feeling confident and you've got high self-esteem, it literally doesn't matter that you've lost everything, that you've got nothing. It doesn't even matter anymore. You're still happy, grateful, excited to have your life. And that's what's actually going to cause you to get back to that point of financial security much faster than just getting the shittest job possible. And social skills. If you've been leveling that up and you still have it at a good level at the point of getting zeroed out, you're going to get to the point of having a good income much faster than going out and working like a donkey, working like the shittest job that you can try and find quickly. Social skills will mean that your friend will want you to stay at his house. He'll almost try to force you to stay. And so you'll be welcome hit there and everywhere else, because people will actually love talking to you because you're the only person in their entire lives who truly listens and asks questions. So they'll welcome you to stay, not just, you know, to be nice, but because they actually kind of feel like they need you to stay. And you'll love it because if you've got social skills, you'll actually love talking to people. So suddenly you've got a tribe of people helping you. When you go for the interview and you've got social skills instead of desperation, you're going to get the job. So here's some practical advice. Hopefully you are convinced that you may get zeroed out at some point, that it could happen to you. Now, this is what you do. You start from today. You make sure you are meditating, journaling, and reading. You make sure that your mental health and your social skills are getting leveled up right now, because when you need it, all of them are suddenly going to drop in 10 levels. So we're preparing for that moment. And then when it does happen, hopefully you could remember this advice in a few years' time when you lose everything, when you stop listening to the red pill and you do eventually get married because you found the perfect woman, and then you lose everything. Hopefully you could remember this advice, and when it happens, you make a quick investment on Amazon, like $5, whatever it is, for How to Win Friends and Influence People. You reread that book and you start meditating for a couple hours every day. You're unemployed, so you've got nothing else to do. That's something that can't be taken. Like, I actually did a little bit of research for this, and everyone had such like basic ass advice of like, you know, logical stuff of, oh, let me just get the job as fast as possible. Instead of working 40 hours, work 60. Shut up, bro. Like, work 60 hours after you've just lost everything. You'd probably end up killing yourself. The whole point is, it's not just about the money. We want to get you to the point of just happiness and feeling like secure in yourself again. If you're slaving away for a job, you're literally going to feel worse, but you've got $1,500 coming. Shut up, bro. But it's these soft skills that can't be taken from you. When you get zeroed out and you've lost everything in the external world, but your mental health and your social skills, if you keep them up, the external world doesn't actually have that much of an effect on you. And because of that level of stoicism that you'd have, that indifference that you'd have, you'd actually get back to that point of happiness, security, much, much faster. And so you were expecting something different in this video. You were hoping that I was going to teach you a get rich quick scheme. There's no such thing. And I know that that's not sexy and that you're hoping, you know, you're still kind of hoping, but these two skills are so important, right, that you start doing right now. And I still haven't met a single person who's investing the right amount into mental health and social skills. Even with every single guy I've ever coached, there is not one guy I could say, you know what, this guy's really, really at it. Like this, he's got the same intention as I do, where he's put in like a solid hour and a half into both of these skills. I've still never met one, and I really hope that someone eventually like speaks to me and says, yeah, I've been meditating every single day, I've been journaling every single day, I've been leveling up my social skills every single day, and I know that guy will be successful. Because so far it's like it's very, very wishy-washy, where everyone complains about loneliness, complains about not having girls, complains about not having friends, and then they're like, oh yeah, I started reading How to Win Friends and Influence People because you said. And then I asked them, like, oh yeah, what have you learned? And they're like, so that you shouldn't, just to how to like make friends. So you've not been really learning it, have you? You've not been paying attention, you dumbass. But I started this video saying that this event of getting zeroed out and losing everything is a lot more common. And there's a lot of young guys watching this. You're watching this right now. You're probably a little bit too young to really grasp the importance, the significance, and how common this event is. Unless you've been on something like the red pill, you haven't really seen much of this before, because it's not something that's talked about. Usually if this happens to a man, he's not going to be active on Facebook talking about it, but on a community like the red pill, obviously there's going to be a lot more talk of it. And so you're watching this right now and you're thinking, okay, it's an interesting topic, it's an interesting idea, but I don't think it's that common. And let's debate that, let's dive into that. So welcome to the unfiltered section. If you're kind of new here, every now and then I do like a little bit of a special section at the end of a video where by this point, a few minutes in, 5 minutes in, everyone's already clicked off the video. So there's like 10-15% of people have remained to this point who actually really care about what I say. And at this point, no one who's going to get offended is still watching, so I can just literally say exactly what I like. So the zeroed out event happens because of women. It happens because of instant gratification. Let's actually say that, because it would either happen mostly because of a woman, because of the dumbass guy got married to a woman who eventually is going to divorce him, or because of instant gratification like gambling and alcohol and just drugs in general. It's them too. This actually happens quite a lot. So this would happen to a guy who drugs ruin his life. Absolutely. And the woman thing is like a lot more common, and it's more like kind of socially acceptable. It seems to happen more often, but honestly they're kind of linked. The women problem links to the drug problem, and the drug problem probably links to the woman problem as well. So we can literally just say it's like an instant gratification addiction. And so yet again, another huge problem of the instant gratification society that we live in, and it's gonna happen to you if you have this mindset like, oh no, every time he says that, he's talking about someone else. Not only is it gonna happen to you, but you're gonna be one of the ultimate victims who not only have you been zeroed out, but you get like zeroed out of your life. Because if you haven't prepared for it, if you haven't already assumed that it's gonna happen, it's gonna hit you unexpectedly, and when you get hit unexpectedly, it hurts 10 times worse. So lose your ego and start thinking, okay, it is going to happen. And so I invite you now, this is actually a deep question. What instant gratification would do this to you? I'll be honest, let me think. for me, because of how much I've been into the red pill, because that's something I'm teaching to you guys, I don't think that I would ever get to the point that I would marry and I'd lose, you know, my kids and my finances and shit like that. I don't think I'd do that. So for me, it'd be drugs. It would be very, very beneficial for you to dive deep into this. What is yours? If you've got the confidence, you can write it below, and I would have so much respect for you if you had that much confidence to start a discussion like that and actually say, you know what, boys, I think that I would probably get zeroed out in 10 years from now because of X. And so I will start. I think that I will get zeroed out in 10 years from now because every time that I've taken a drug, I've overdosed on it. I'm a guy who naturally overdoes the stimulus. Like, it isn't enough to just do the normal amount. For some reason, I always seem to not only just do like double, triple, quadruple the normal amount of like safe drug usage, but I also then start taking it consistently in like a shrug your shoulders, you only live once, it's fun though, isn't it, type of vibe. So far, it's never been on a drug that's like so hard. But I mean, it kind of has, because obviously I used to drink in university like a lot before we'd go out. Now, of course, that has the vibe like, oh, you know, you're a student, so you can drink as much as you want. But it's, imagine that same drinking behavior, but when you're 20, 25, when you're 30, it's very, very different. And by that time, I believe my tolerance would be even higher. So I'm someone who I would literally never drink at all by myself. I find that so fucking repulsive. Like, someone's watching this right now who has beers by themselves. I am repulsed by that. Like, you need like a fucking drug to just sit there by yourself. I'm repulsed by that. But when I get into the environment of people who, you know, I have a great laugh with, because I do like cling on to that social life and probably would be linked to a woman as well. It's like I'm in that thing of like, oh yeah, it doesn't even matter. I'll get absolutely like wasted because I do it so infrequently. And so that's not a bad idea. That's not like so bad if you're getting wasted like, you know, once or twice. But it's when those social events start happening more often and my mindset hasn't changed. And so eventually, obviously, the tolerance builds up, the withdrawal symptoms build up, and the hook gets deep inside of you. And I think that might be the reason why I'd get zeroed out, where I get fully into some drug that causes mental health problems, and then that's how I'd lose it all. Let's say if I was still doing YouTube, I'd just suddenly just stop uploading. That's, I think, what would happen to me. It takes a lot of fucking guts to admit that, and like introspectiveness, to lose your ego and to really think, okay, what could happen? And by just me doing that, you know, I'm a little bit tense thinking about it. I'm going to be a bit more aware when I'm partaking in instant gratification like that. And hopefully you follow this in practice. Hopefully you've either commented it or at least you've thought about it. Maybe you've journaled it. What would it be for you? And what mindset should you have when you next get close to that instant gratification? I think the issue is that guys who are somewhat like me, who are, you know, confident enough, we can say it about something like drugs. But I feel like anyone who's still, I don't think there's too many people, but anyone who's still watching who's like a bit more blue pill, a bit more like he wants a relationship and he wants to get married and have kids, he won't ever be able to admit that could be the reason why he'd get zeroed out. But if that's you and it's just spiked up in your head right now that I might be talking about you, that's your sign right there, that could be your event. You're not immune. But then think about it. Think about my advice in this video. Mental health and social skills. Let's say in my example, let's say if it was going to be drugs that did this. Imagine if my mental health was still tip top. I actually wouldn't overindulge into the drug because I wouldn't have depression, wouldn't have anxiety. I'd have a happy life without any kind of external stimulus. So I've just kind of saved myself from the addiction of the drug because I wouldn't need the stimulus because I'm already grateful and mindful of real life. And then think about the social skills. Now, at first I thought, oh wait, the social skills could lead me to be, you know, with the friends that kind of influence me to overdo the drug, but I actually think it'd be the opposite. With good enough social skills, you can be friends with literally anyone, and so you can be friends with the higher quality people who aren't doing that. I would say poor social skills causes you to have those friends who encourage you to take drugs, because I've had them before, and I think most guys have had them before. You've definitely had them with something of either video games or weed or with alcohol. Pretty much every single guy, every single person has got friends who've influenced, you know, who are part of that culture where they drink together, they smoke together, they play together. Well, that's because your social skills aren't so great, and you're hooked onto, just because you need a social life, you need to speak to people, you need to feel like you've got friends, and you're with them because of the fact that you don't have great social skills. Because if you did have great social skills, you'd start making way higher quality friends. And so, at least in my example, the mental health and social skills advice works. Does it work for you? I want to give you one more reminder that it could happen, and it probably will happen I still think that if you're watching this, and even, I'll be honest, even with my ego, I still have this idea of, oh no, because we're doing this video right now, it won't really happen. But you must keep the mind that it could. It usually happens when men are 40, and there's a reason why suicide rates are highest amongst men who are 40 who have recently gone through a divorce. It literally all adds up. It's like a very, very scary correlation that no one speaks about, when it should be like one of the biggest topics. Like, the most common reason for men's death is suicide after divorce, linked with losing everything, losing the kids and the finances that he's worked for, losing the woman he loves, and eventually the instant gratification, the mental health fucks him over. It's the most common cause of death. Why the fuck is no one talking about that? You're not immune. And if you prepare for it, if you lose your ego a little bit and you just keep thinking, okay, it's probably going to happen, so let me just make sure that when it does happen, I have those soft skills that can't be taken away, you'll probably be able to save yourself. And then probably, honestly, it probably wouldn't ever happen in the first place if you fully tripled down on things like mental health and social skills, because at that point, you can't really say you get zeroed out if you've got great mental health and you've got a whole social group around you who actually really, really like you and they take care of you. At that point, you've not been zeroed out. So this is really like preventing that huge down period. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it.